Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering an update to the way tabs work in Emacs and also how to clean up the Doom mode line. So first of all, I did a update to Emacs which I installed with nicked PKGs by running home manager switch, and the behavior in the tabs has changed and also the appearance. So if you have a look up here, what you'll notice, the tabs actually have a fixed width now and will auto truncate the string of text inside them. So before, what used to happen is all the tabs would have a different width depending on the string of text inside the tab. What happens now is the tabs have a fixed width and will actually truncate the path here. So if I go to, for example, a long path, what you'll see here is instead of the tab expanding to fit the full width of the text, it now automatically truncates the text so that it fits inside the tab. And at first I was a bit like, oh, this is wasted space and a bit annoying, but the new behavior is actually an improvement, because you don't now have, if you go into a long path, you might have a tab that stretched the full width down here. So this is a big improvement in how they work. The other thing I wanted to cover was actually how to truncate the Doom mode line here and remove some extra sort of stuff we don't need in the mode line down here, like the icon for the time, the UTF encoding, also showing minor modes as well. So what I'm going to do is switch across to my Emacs init.el, and this is how I set the face of the tabs up here. So we're setting the font height here, and what we've got down here is the tab bar background, the active tab, and the inactive tab. So you can see the active tab's got a blue text, whereas the inactive tab has got grayed out text. So the next thing down here I want to go through is actually the Doom mode line. So first of all, we've got require Doom mode line 1, and what we've got down here is this new setting, Doom mode line buffer file name style, and what we've got here is truncate except project. And what you'll see down here is I'm in .config Emacs init.el, and what it's done is it's actually truncated the text that appears to .c Emacs init.el. So there are various options that you can put in here, and you can find those on the Doom mode line GitHub page. But basically this will truncate everything except project name, so that we don't have a long string of text down here. The other thing that if I come across and go to a video, take videos, Emacs tabs, okay, let's open the system crafters one. And what I just want to do is actually move this, just bear with me, I'll move that across. What you'll see here now is it's the string is actually Vterm MPV and then the file name. So previously what would happen is it would actually display the full path to the video and the video name. So it would say like MPV videos, tech videos, Emacs tabs, you know, and then system crafters, you know, the hidden value of Emacs tab bar web m, and so that would actually fill up the entire mode line. So having the truncate except project option not only will truncate the lines down here for the file path, but also you know, when you've actually got a file open, like as I just showed you with the video, we'll actually truncate it to just the file name, which is a big improvement. The next thing I'm doing is don't display the minor modes in the mode line. So if you've got things like company or undo tree enabled, typically they'll actually show up listed down here as well. So I'm hiding those just to clean things up. The next thing is actually hiding the time icon. So we've got the time down here, and by default what it'll do is it'll print a little calendar icon which actually doesn't do anything. So I've removed that just to clean things up. And the final thing down here is don't display the buffer encoding. So normally what you'll have is it will say something like UTF-8, you know, and that's just the default anyway, so we don't really need to see that, so we're going to hide that. The other thing that I've done is actually, what you'll see here is we've got the line count. Normally what you also get is a percentage, and what I've done, I'll have to look through and find out where I've put it, is I've actually removed the line number and disabled the percentage completely. So I've disabled the line number from showing up in Vterm because you don't need it. So in, you know, I'm in a elif document here, and you can see I've moved the lines up and down. So we've got the line count, but in the terminal we've hidden that. So this makes a much cleaner mode line down at the bottom. We've got the icon, you know, for Vterm. We've got the truncated path, so Vterm desktop. Got the mode down here and the time, so it's much cleaner. And what I'm just going to do is remember where I put that. So where the hell did I put that? I think it might have been, yeah, down here. Okay. Vterm mode hide line number. So set Q mode line % position. I've set that to nil, and what that normally does is that displays the percentage you are in the document. So normally what you'll see is something like top or bottom or all or the percentage, and I didn't want that to show up in Vterm because it's of no use. So what I've done here is created a little function that I pinched off someone, I think it was on Reddit or Stack Overflow, but we're defining a function called noLine numbers. And what we're doing here is set Q local line number mode nil. And I pinched this little bit of set Q local from Prot, you know, Vasilius, who's does a lot of stuff on Emacs, and I came across this sort of bit of code, and what I think set Q local does is it sets that line number mode nil only in this sort of function. If you just set Q line number mode nil inside this function, it's going to affect everything, so it will affect other modes. And then finally what we've got down here is add hook Vterm mode hook no line num. So after sort of Vterm's loaded, it's going to run this hook Vterm mode hook, and it's going to run this function, and it's going to use this set Q local sort of thing to set line number mode to nil inside Vterm. Now I tried setting the mode line % position in here to nil as well using set Q local, but it didn't seem to work. It still seemed to disable it in other modes. So until I've figured out how to do that, how to get it back in other modes, I've just disabled it completely. So in here we just have the line numbers, but as you can see in Vterm we don't have the line numbers or the cursor % position, you know, because normally what it would say like line 2 all, and it's just distracting, and I didn't want that there in my terminal. So I think this is just a much nicer, cleaner terminal in Emacs. We've removed the UTF encoding, we've removed the little icon for the time, we've removed the, you know, minor modes showing up here, and we've removed the line numbers and the cursor position. So it just, none of that is actually needed in the terminal, so it just makes it much cleaner and nicer to look at in combination with the truncated tabs and mode line down here. So let me just go through the settings. The other setting I wanted to mention actually is for Vterm. So showed in the previous video how you can use the Vterm buffer name string option in combination with your hang on. And yeah, what have I done there? Okay, let me open a new tab. So this little block of code, set the terminal name to program name. Here, this little block of code in your ZSHRC works with this Vterm buffer name string, so that as you can see here, it's saying Vterm desktop because that's the directory. The next setting that you want to enable for Vterm is Vterm always compile module T, and what that does is when you run Vterm, it sort of checks if there's an update for Vterm, and it will give you a prompt saying, do you want to compile Vterm? So what this does is that enables it to true and sets it to automatically update Vterm without prompting you. So what's going to happen is sometimes you'll open up Emacs, go to start up Vterm, and basically it will just pull down the latest Vterm and compile it automatically for you. So that's a couple of notes on Vterm setting always compile the Vterm buffer name string in combination with the ZSHRC file block of code here. So that's how we get the name up here, because by default it's going to be something like vterminal 1, vterminal 2, and this is, you know, much nicer to have the actual name up here. So those are the settings for Vterm, and then let's come back down to the section I was at. Here's the tab bar mode settings that I showed you in a previous video, where we only show the tab bar if there's more than one tab open. We hide the close and new tab buttons. We set the new tab to be scratch. We close sort of last tabs. Tabs are going to be put on the right. We disable the tab hints, which will print a number. So if you have tab bar tab hints set to true, it will place a number before each of these tabs, like 1, 2, 3, and we don't need that. Tab bar separator set to a space, so you actually want a space as a separator, otherwise the text will butt up. And I'll show you in a previous video how we can have the menu put into the tab bar. So we're hiding the menu bar, and we've got it put inside up here with a custom Unicode icon. So have a look at that video if you want to do that. And this was the settings for the tab bar. Again, we add the tab bar format menu bar, and we enable the tab bar mode, and then we add our little tab bar menu bar button, and that's the Unicode icon. And you can insert a Unicode icon by pressing Ctrl X8 return and then pasting in the Unicode code, or actually start searching for something like alien monster, press return, it will insert the character. And the other thing was going through the tab bar. Okay, so these were the settings. So these are the font settings, and these are settings for the tab bar background. So tab bar styles the actual whole tab up here. Active tab is this one here with the blue. Inactive tab is grayed out. And then we had the do mode line, and again we truncate the mode line buffer file name style to truncate except project. So as you can see here, we get a shorter mode line down here. don't display the minor modes, because typically it's just going to display stuff like, you know, company, undo tree, or whatever. And I just, you know, I don't need to see that. Just keep it nice and clean and minimal. We hide the time icon that comes up here, because, you know, it doesn't do anything, so we don't need it. And we don't display the buffer encoding, which is going to just display UTF-8 here, and that's the default in Emacs, so, you know, we don't need to see it. And then after that, we had the Vterm mode hide line numbers. And again, this mode line percent position is the thing that shows you the percentage of the cursor in the document. So we created that function, set queue local line numbers mode nil. We then add hook Vterm mode hook, and then run that function, and that basically disables the line numbers. So I can't figure out how to get the mode line percent position to show in other modes but not in Vterm. So if you got any suggestions on that, or another way to do this, then leave a comment. But that was the hiding the line numbers. I think the final thing, sort of something else, but I'm sure I've covered it anyway. So I've cleaned up my Emacs init.el, sort of broken it down, so it's easier to go through. We've got the general settings up here. We hide the menu bar, the toolbar, the scroll bar, save place mode. So that saves the cursor position. That's really, really useful. So if you close it, if you see here, if I close this ZSHRC file, you can see it saves the cursor position. So that's really, really helpful, because you know, when you switch back to a document, you're going to be at the same place. As you can see here, we've got a nice little sort of mode line here, shell script, ZSH. I think that's showing its fly check. So that's the ZSH file. Desktop mode, save history, revert buffers when the underlying file is changed. Here's the add to list load path of list files. Start Emacs maximize, so it will basically start Emacs full frame every time you open it. Let me think, there's anything else that's useful. This is just general stuff for inhibiting the startup message, startup screen, that sort of thing. Yeah, here is the Vterm. So Vterm always compile module T, will automatically compile Vterm. Yeah, here's the yeah, this is the other thing, displaying the time in the mode line, hide the average. So you can set the display time format to sort of hours and minutes here. I don't want seconds. And typically what it also shows is a load average, sort of like, you know, of the system. So we disable that with set queue, disable time default load average nil, and then we enable the display time mode. So that will hide that display time default load average, will just hide the little number you get beside the right of the time, which is just really annoying. So removing that, and the icon cleans up the time a bit. We use short answers, turn off the blinking cursor, press large files, follow symlinks. Just seeing if there's anything else that's useful. Emacs 28 also has a built-in dictionary server, which is quite cool. So you can have a look at that. I think Mastering Emacs might have a section on that, or somewhere else. These are just all capture templates. Tab bar mode, I went through. Just seeing if there's anything else. The other thing is I actually removed all the icons died because I found that it really slowed down the startup of Emacs. Doubled the time it took to load to a couple of seconds. So I removed that, and Emacs is starting in about 1.5 2 seconds, which I could probably get down, but it was taking like 5 or 6 seconds to open on an older machine. So if you're having issues with laggy Emacs, it may be dired all the icons. So you may want to have a look at disabling that. And again, this was the face attributes and the Doom mode line, truncating the major line, truncate except project, so we get the short thing down there. And again, the way the tabs of work has actually changed. You'll see you get all this extra space beside the tab, and they will have the same width now, but they will now automatically truncate. Oops, maybe get Emacs. So you can see here the tab has now been truncated so that it doesn't show the full path, which, as I said, is an improvement. And if I go if I went into a really long path, it would truncate it down here as well. So that's how the behavior of the tabs has changed. And that seems to have just happened really recently, because I did a home manager switch, which is using Nix PKGs to build Emacs as a native Wayland application using a GTK backend. And when I did a switch, I thought, what's changed in my config? Why are the tabs all big? But it just seems to be a update to the way the tabs work, rather than anything I've done in my config. So that's some changes in how the tabs work in Emacs. They now auto truncate and have a fixed width. Also, how you can clean up the Doom mode line down here, remove a lot of stuff you don't need, like the time, the load average, the minor modes, the buffer encoding like UTF-8, and also how we can clean up the terminal here so it doesn't show the line numbers. Because normally what would happen is if you got the 9 numbers enabled and the cursor position, it would display something like line 2 all. It's just a bit distracting, so I wanted to remove that and have a much cleaner terminal set up here. So that's a sort of big improvement as far as I'm concerned. It just makes it much less cluttered and easy on the eye. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and I hope that sort of explains some of the changes in how the tabs work, in case you're a bit baffled, and how to clean up your mode line, remove a load of extra stuff you don't need. And if you know how to enable the percentage in other modes apart from Vterm, which was what I was doing down here. So again, mode line percent position is what normally displays like top, bottom, or the percentage of the cursor position in the document. And I tried set Q local mode line position nil in here and having it enabled, and putting that after that or before that and changing the order, and I couldn't get it to work. So if you know how to get the percent position back in here for modes apart from Vterm, then leave a comment and I'll update the config. And but it just sort of makes it, it was a bit lame having the line number and all there. So I'd rather just disable the cursor position and just have the line numbers. So that's all for now, and I'll put links to all this under the video.